Okay, today is July 25th, and today's quote is entitled, Accepting. Nothing is difficult to accept when you know that everything that happens, past, present, and future, is arranged by a loving God who is only concerned with your highest good. You know, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says, he says, the material world was created by Krishna to give the conditioned souls a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. So, if we broaden this statement, you could say, if this world is meant to rectify us, transform us back into our pure state, then you could say that everything that happens in this world is indirectly, either directly or indirectly, aimed at helping us go back to Godhead. So if that is true, and it seems to be logically true based on what Prabhupada said, that if this world is created for us to go back to Godhead, that's the reason Krishna created it. And so, well, he created it as a playground for us to forget him, but he designed that playground in a way that it would eventually bring us back to Godhead. It would eventually reform us. So that being the case, that means that everything that happens ultimately is meant for our rectification. So that would mean that everything that happens, if we can accept it in that light, is good. There's nothing bad, and the bad becomes good because the bad brings us closer to Krishna. I mean, in theory it will, it should, it can. At least if we could see how the bad can bring us closer to Krishna and allow it to bring us closer to Krishna and not fight it and accept it, then it would. And then we could accept that everything is actually helping us. And if everything is helping us, and you see it that way, you accept it that way, and you allow it to help you, then that's amazing, because then every moment of our lives we become Krishna conscious. So then you might say, well, you know, I go to work and there's a lot of traffic. How is that helping me become Krishna conscious? Well, it's teaching you how to be patient. Or it's frustrating you so much that you'd never want to take another birth to have to work at that lousy job again and sit in that traffic every day. I mean, if you think of it that way, it'll have that effect on you. A lot of times when disturbing things happen, either to me or others, one of the realizations that I get is a confirmation of the nature of the material world. Because if everything is perfect all the time, I forget what is the nature of this world. Like Prabhupada said, the demigods, they don't get old. At least, I mean, they get old, but physically they don't get old. So a demigod that's like, 28,000 years old looks like a demigod that's 10 years, not 10 years, like 25 years old. You don't see their age. So there's no reminder that they're getting old. There's no disease. They look beautiful. So, Prabhupada said, it's pretty hard for the demigods to be Krishna conscious. I mean, they're Krishna conscious, but there's a story where the demigods had a problem. They went to Krishna with a solution, and Krishna said, well, I can just send you all back to Godhead. That would kind of solve all your problems. And the demigod said, no, can you just help us solve this problem? Because demigod life is pretty nice. And believe it or not, they just wanted to solve that problem so they could stay in their demigod life and not go back to Godhead, which is amazing, isn't it, when you think about it? Could you imagine Krishna offered you to go back to Godhead, and you had this beautiful house on the ocean, with glass windows all around, and some island, perfect weather, and you said, no, Krishna, I just have a problem here, could you solve that? Then I'm fine. So I always think when there's difficulty or pain or suffering, either physical, emotional, circumstantial, whatever, I just think, this is confirmation of the original reason I became a devotee, because I wasn't happy and satisfied in this world, and now Krishna is reconfirming, just to keep me sober, just to remind me, so I don't get illusion and start thinking, actually things are pretty good now, I know how to make strawberry halva, I know how to make this and that, and I've got this wonderful house, beautiful kids, wonderful wife, nice car, I've got this, that, the next thing. hey, life is great, and that's actually a problem for a conditioned soul. So in that way we can see even the bad has some redeeming value. So if we could think that whatever is happening, Krishna's doing to ultimately help us, then we kind of feel his love. When something is not the way we want it, but we feel his love and say, no, it's reminding me that I should be Krishna conscious. It's reminding me I should be serious about my spiritual life. It's reminding me I don't really like it here. It would be a good idea to go back to Krishna. He's waiting for me. All these things are reminders. You know, it's like, do you eat a food that's not good for you? Do you eat a food that after you eat it, it makes you tired? That's just a reminder when you get tired, you shouldn't have eaten it, or when you get a stomach ache, or when you start sneezing, or whatever it is, after you eat that food. Isn't it a reminder? And you think, oh, I'm so stupid, I shouldn't have eaten this food. I'm not going to eat this anymore. So it's like that. And sometimes we're reminded by this world that it's not such a great place. So if we see the bad in that way, we actually realize it's good, and we actually realize everything has really worked. Krishna created this world in such a way that everything would ultimately work to take us back to Godhead if we see it that way, right? So the dog agrees. He's so ecstatic right now by hearing what I'm saying. He's screaming in ecstasy. Hare Krishna.